Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. So I fixed my camera on my computer, but for some reason Google Chrome is just constantly crashing on it. So I'm on my phone again, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to try and fix that as I go, because it was super frustrating the other day. Don't quite know what's going on with it, but you just bear with me. I'm here. We're going to talk some stuff. Whether that be stuff I've heard, whether that be little bits and pieces I've heard about the game against Merthyr, and a few other bits and pieces. We'll answer some questions, all that good stuff and more. So do get your questions in. I'll get access to the comments in some way, one way or the other, as it were. But 1927 Club returned last night, which was good to see the boys back together after a while away. We got lots of stuff coming up this week. So the Key and Ashford video is going to drop tomorrow night instead. I've just been, it's just me. I've been having a bad couple of days, let's say. So it's there and it's ready. It's done. I haven't put it out yet. So it'll be out tomorrow night. I'm on the radio in the morning. I will try and do something in the morning for lunchtime, because I do like those lunchtime videos, but we'll see. Got a couple of things coming, like one on Isaac, one on Key and Ashford, couple of other recruitment reports, that sort of jazz. But we shall see. We shall go. Well, so Cardiff City did, in fact, play Merthyr Tidville Saturday behind closed doors. It was 13-1 to Cardiff City. It was a mixture of young first-teamers and youngsters. Luke Pearce scored a hat-trick. Joel Colwill scored a couple. And I was told that Ruben Colwill was the standout player. However, that's about the gist of it. It was one-sided. And I guess the one thing which I do like about it, I look, the opposition, with the greatest respect, I'm sure Merthyr played a very mixed side as well. But see, I don't think you can tell anything in terms of the performance, like if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for the season. There's two things really which I think are good about it. The first one being that I think they're ruthless, because a lot of times in friendlies and things like that, you end up teams they get 5 or whatever, and then they'll ease off the gas a little bit. So that was good to see that they were relentless, and they went on and they kept scoring goals. That's good. And equally, I think that the young players, performed, getting some game time. Brian Barry Murphy gets his technically his first win. And, whoever you're playing, you can only play what's in front of you. And ultimately, whoever you're playing, winning needs to become a habit for this team, because they are out of that habit. So, regardless of who played, there was a couple of first teamers in there. And ultimately, it's just a minutes in the legs, get them going. Pre-season results, they don't matter. But it is always, I think, good to make winning a habit. I think is always good. So anyone who's any good at Chrome, anyone who could tell me why Windows Chrome keeps crashing, or not even crashing, just keeps switching itself off, it's very annoying. I deleted some stuff off my computer, which I think my sons had added, like OBS and stuff, which I think was interfering with the webcam. But we're multitasking. So I'm going to bring up the comments on my phone, my other phone for now, and then we'll see where we go after that in terms of getting the proper computer StreamYard to work and all that sort of jazz. So let's have a look. There we go. Comments. Let's have a look who's in the chat. Steve Davis, evening. Evan, Josh, Paul, Mark, JT, Ian, John, Rick, Matthew Angel, Evan, JT, Geraint, CCFC Insider, a few others. Yeah, Jeff, you always ask me about Luke Pearce, and I've been doing a bit of digging. I think most likely would probably be going out on loan. However, there was a few trialists playing as well for both teams. What is interesting with Luke Pearce is Goal scorers scoring goals is a good habit to have. As we are now, if we were to go into the first league game of the season this week, I think Luke Pearce is probably on the bench through injuries and a few bits and pieces. It's interesting. Like I'll go into some of these questions now. The other thing as well is I haven't seen a lot about who's gone to Spain and that other than on a Ryanair flight. But I know Callum Robinson's gone, for instance, which is quite interesting because there was rumours of him being sold this week, but obviously that hasn't materialised as of yet. If he's gone, I heard a few. We've had a couple of bids for some players. I don't think it's a shock. I don't think if with Russell Martin being at Rangers, if they come sniffing about Ruben Colwill. And as we did discuss, I think it was on this show last Sunday, look, the club have almost shot themselves in the foot a little bit by saying they don't have to sell. Because by saying that, we all as fans and people and media will be expecting them to get the best possible prices for the players. So if, for instance, we sold Alex Robertson on the cheap or Ruben Colwill on the cheap, questions will be asked. Whereas if they had said nothing and said, we'll probably have to sell to balance the books and all that sort of stuff, then people would have been more prepared for it. Right, so I've got Chrome working, but I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to swap the cameras over just yet. I want to see if it stays on first. Yeah, it's gone off. So annoying. Yay. But there we go. So let's have a look at some of these questions. So Evan says, "Oh, that's not Ruben likely to be sold because he's on the thumbnail. I wouldn't think so, as I've heard he's going to be captain this season, and BBM spoke exceptionally highly of him." So what I can sort of say, without breaking any confidences, is like they've had bids for players. Ruben, Robinson, and I think they were going to have a look in terms of where they stood with those bids. I have been told by a real good source that BBM is fighting hard to make sure Ruben's not sold. I think the tricky one is Alex Robertson because he is a sellable asset. I'm relatively sure that he's happy to stay, but I'm also relatively sure that he wouldn't be against going and playing in the Championship or wherever. The problem is there's a 35%, and I've had that checked now, 35% sell-on clause. So whatever fee they get for Alex Robertson, 35% of that goes to Man City. So you would think that means we'd ask for more. I'm not so sure we will, though. And that's an issue, isn't it, at the end of the day? No updates. So is there a way to update Chrome individually? Anyone tell me that? We'll go with it. We'll go with it as it is. Don't want to bore you with my technological issues. So look, BBM I don't think wants to sell Ruben. If I'm honest, that's the noises I'm hearing. It might not be up to him, no. Although I say that they've kind of said that he's going to have the final say on who goes, who stays. So if that is the case and they stick to that, then he should be staying, shouldn't he? Because if he wants him to stay. But I guess we'll find out. It is one of those. Yusuf Salic didn't play Saturday. I wouldn't particularly read anything into that. They've been using him massively over all of their promotion, which I would hope is a good sign that they are wanting to, keep hold of him. Callum Robinson's a fascinating one, I got to say, because with Callum, sorry guys, I just message Matthew back a minute. Matthew's going to jump on, I think, with me. So it's a bit easier to read the comments and stuff because I can't see any of the Twitter comments. And it's very frustrating. So Matt will join me now. Yeah, so Callum Robinson's an interesting one because at his best, I think he can be a massive asset in League One, like a real big asset. But you have to weigh up all the different elements of it. You know, is he fit? Is he able to play week in, week out? Do you need him week in, week out? If he's an alternative to Salic, do you need him week in, week out? Can you go with one game a week to keep him fit and sharp? It's an interesting one for sure. Let's have a look. Some of these comments. Oasis, absolutely banging, absolutely. Yeah, so that's an interesting comment, actually. Evan says, isn't it mad that when BBM was asked about Ruben, he praised him so much, yet every other manager we've had always said he needs to work on a lot. In reality, most managers don't know how to use it. Yeah, and I think that's been a problem for Ruben and for the way for us as a club to get the best out of him. Now, that's not to say that he's the perfect player and he doesn't need to work on certain things, because I absolutely think he does. I actually would like to see him have a bit of swagger and a bit of arrogance about him. I think I said this the other day. Like, I would like to see him be like, yeah, I'm the guy. Give me the ball and go win us some football matches and take a bit of responsibility. But he also needs the players around him to do that, runners, etc. So it's interesting. Like, who would you be open to selling? Like, I think everyone is available, personally, at a price. And then it comes down to who do you want to sell? Who would you like to sell? So Ricky said, any idea how much we got for Callum O'Dowd? What did I say? It was 8, I think, about 800 grand, which 850, I think. I can't remember what it was now. I did say the other day, it's like 800 and something grand, and it goes up to $1 million on settings. Sorry, Paul's giving me instructions. And it goes up to $1 million, certain clauses. People giving Glenn some grief. It's 35, mate. I checked that in the last 24 hours. 35%. Let's have a look. Robinson, Willock, and one other were in a pick I posted earlier. Yeah, so that's. I'd be open to selling Willock, to be honest. Oh, Matthews, he's there, but he's not there. I'll take him out for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
He's there, but he's not there.
You all right, mate? So just talking about players really potentially going and like particularly with Ruben, I think Rangers, Russell Martin loves him, doesn't he? And you could imagine as soon as he got in that door, he'd have been like, give me, go make a bid for him, like.
Yeah, there was talk about him potentially going to Southampton when he was there. I know Russell Martin's a big fan of him, but yeah, right. No disrespect to Scottish football, but I don't know how much he'd get out of going up to Scotland and playing in a 2-team division.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's, I don't mean to be a thing, but I just don't think is as strong as it should be. Well, or could be really, but I don't know. That's an old podcast, a different podcast altogether, I think.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Give me a sec. Right, there we are. Try that now. So I'm on my laptop. I'm on Chrome, so I should have a better connection, and I should also be able to see all the comments on Twitter and stuff. But if I disappear, it's because Chrome's closed again, and I'm probably shouting at the wall. I just realised I can't hear you, though. That's because I haven't got my headphones plugged in. You talk, mate, a minute.
Happy days. I'll talk. But, Yeah, obviously I caught the first bit of the podcast, 13-1 against Merthyr. Like I said, I haven't seen any of the team sheets or anything from the Merthyr game, but obviously I caught wind of what you said about Luke Pearce and Joel Colwill. So it's good that some of the youngsters have got some goals early doors in pre-season. And like you said, with the striker scoring goals is a good habit to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that, mate, but I can hear you now. So it's
I just saying how good you was, but
it's difficult, mate. I was trying to do 4 devices at the same time. It was pickling my brain, so that's a bit easier now. I do think if we're as Cardiff fans, if we're ever going to see the best out of Ruben Colwill, I think Brian Barry Murphy's the guy to probably do it. I think he understands that Ruben needs to be built up rather than sort of criticised. And, some players react to criticism and being publicly called
I think
out.
he will. I think we've seen glimpses of his talents. There's no doubt the boy's got talent and lots of it because we've seen it, it's especially in the bigger games like Aston Villa. I thought he done very well in the cup game. We haven't seen it consistently. I think we've seen glimpses during games, but we've also seen glimpses of things that he needs to work on. I'm a great fan of him. I'd be disappointed to see him go because I think he could probably tear League One up, if I'm completely honest, if we play him in the right position. What that right position is Brian Barry Murphy's decision, but I don't know whether is he playing just in front of the midfield, just off Salek in like a 10 position? I don't know. But I think we've got lots of, good attacking options with what we've already got in the building. I still think we do need to strengthen at the back, and no doubt we probably bring in some more attacking players as well. But I hope we don't get rid of him. But knowing Cardiff for as long as I have, which is not as long as most, if a decent offer comes in, they won't turn the money down. No doubt about it.
Yeah, historically, we jump at the first bit of money. Gavlar says, who scored against Merthyr? All I know is that Ruben played well, Luke Pearce scored 3, and Joel Colwill scored 2. That's all I know, really, in terms of the bits and pieces. I was waiting for a reply, but I didn't get it in time for the show. Just on that, on the sales, if you're in charge, mate, and you want to bring in a bit of money, but also want to keep the side relatively strong, who are you open to selling, and who are you like, no, they're my kind of base?
I'd like to keep Alex Robertson if we could do all we can to keep him. I think we talked about it on the 1927 club last night with Callum Chambers. We're quite heavy in that midfield area with Wintle, Chambers, Turnbull, Robertson. So I know Turnbull had a bit of a mixed season last season. I think he started off when Robertson came in, didn't he? They had a bit of a partnership. They both injured then at certain points, and I don't think we haven't seen the best of him. I don't think, David Turnbull. So somebody come in for him. I don't know how much money we would get for David Turnbull. I wouldn't be devastated. Chris Willock, another one. I don't think, again, we've seen great things from him last year. Glimpses again. Obviously, they're all talented footballers. They wouldn't be where they are if they didn't. But for whatever reason, I suppose it's difficult when no disrespect to him, but a bit part player coming on for 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. I suppose it's difficult to get any kind of consistency then when you're not playing regular. And I think that's been a bit of Ruben's downfall over the last couple of years with so many different managers. I don't think they've fully trusted him then in his ability and what he can do, and used him as a bit of a bit part player as well, which hasn't really helped his development. And that's my opinion.
Well, in fairness, mate, I think you're probably not far off. I thought actually of the most recent managers, Errol Bullock got the best out of him. But every time he got performances out of him, he followed it up by he would rotate him or you drop him or whatever you want to call it. So he was never able to like turn it into 5-6 performances in a row. Now, of course, that's his issue, and it is his consistency. But I just feel like Brian Barry Murphy, the way he wants to play, assuming he's going to play the same way he's played elsewhere, by the way, because that's all we can do is make that assumption. But I have heard that they're playing with 3 at the back at times in training as well, which I think is a good thing. Like, you need to be flexible and change, be able to do different systems, different situations. Willock is an interesting one, isn't he? Because I think most people thought, that's a good free signing. And he just never really has got going for whatever reason. Is he one that could, like him, Turnbull, Tanner, maybe, can they be players who are maybe in the Championship can't quite do it, but in the League One now can do it? Potentially,
mate. Yeah, you don't know. And again, it's something we've discussed on previous. League One's not going to be easy, is it? It's not going to be, a walk in the park. I think, those days are long gone. We're going to be everybody's cup final, and we need to be bang up for it every single game. And that's something we've really struggled with over the last couple of years, is getting up for games. I know we've done it for the odd one, like the South Wales Derby, but we can't get up for one game in 4 type of thing. Otherwise, we're in the wrong end of the table straight away type of thing. But it'll be interesting.
Are you concerned that, or how young our side could end up being, in terms of, obviously we released a few players, we sold O'Dowda. At the moment, the players that we seem to be linked with or talking to are like, even they're like, 18 to 22 sort of thing. We're going to have a very young squad.
I wouldn't say I'm massively concerned. I think we do need that element of experience to go with the youth. I think, you got the likes of Callum Chambers in the midfield. Whether he stays or goes, I don't know. But you look at Perry NG, is he going to go? That's a big set of shoes to fill then for Ronan Capaccio, because that's the only other fit right back I think we've got at the moment. And on the left-hand side as well now, with O'Dowda going, I know Joel Bagan is there, young Louis Giles, but I think it's another big push for Louis Giles. Joel Bagan can obviously play in the centre as well. I think Darland is potentially it'll be a big player for us this year. I think Brian Barry Murphy will like the way he potentially can play. I think he needs to probably toughen up a little bit, in my opinion, after his first season. I think obviously his first season was a difficult one. Obviously, he got injured as well, didn't he, after the South Wales Derby? So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how much you caught of that then, because you went off and on. But yeah.
I did want to bring up, circle back to Chris Willock, because CCFC Insider made quite a good point. He says, could you say Willock suffered for the same thing that Ruben Colwill has, where he'd have a good game or two under Rhys and then he'd be on the bench for the next 3? He says he's intrigued to see how Brian Barry Murphy uses it. He thinks he's a 10. Now, a couple of things on that. One, I do agree. I think Chris Willock is absolutely a 10. He's never a winger, and he's certainly not the sort of winger that we're going to be looking for, I don't think. We need some pace and direct. So, I don't think he's that, but I think he's quite clever. He could be a good 10 maybe, but it all depends on what sort of system he's going to play. And
it'll be interesting to see now. Obviously, we got the first couple of preseason games now this week. I think it's one Wednesday and one Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see how we kind of line up and how it goes really. And I think we'll have a little bit more of an idea potentially what areas perhaps that we might need to strengthen in after them games Wednesday, Saturday, perhaps.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get a date on Perry NG's injury, but I did hear yesterday, and I don't like to speculate on injuries because it's people's livelihoods and stuff. I've heard his injury is quite bad. Like so.
Yeah, well, I've heard a couple of different ones. I think I heard 5 weeks first of all, and then somebody said January.
Yeah, so I got told yesterday by a very good source that it was December. So a fair old whack it is. So like, could you go with Pacquiao till then? Because I think if you look at in terms of, I think it was Graham just said about the club will get rid of the highest wages. It's only really Robinson and Chambers now on the sort of the big money. Everyone else is on more sort of lower wage. I'm not sure about Robertson. I'd have to check that. But Robinson and Chambers are like on big wages. Can you sell Chambers if you've only got Pacquiao as a fit right back? Can you afford to sell Chambers? Maybe they bring a loan in that area, or I don't think
Will Fish. I prefer Will Fish to step in there than Callum Chambers, if I'm completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a big player for us this year, Will Fish at the back.
I agree, yeah.
And I think we've got to get away now from playing players out too much out of position then. I know Will Fish played right back a couple of times last year, Chambers did, but I don't know if Chambers got the pace to be in that back line.
No, I agree, mate, but I just think when you look at it, he's like the only other right back.
It's a gamble, isn't it? It's a big gamble.
Back.
Unless we can bring in, I think somebody said on the 1927 club last night, Cody Dramer's available. Now, if I was Cardiff City, I'd be biting people's hands off to get him back through the door. And I think that answered all our questions at right back, to be honest. He's still only young. He's younger than I thought. Rhys said he's 23, I think. And I don't know why. I think because he played for us probably, I'm not sure how many years ago that was. 3-4, was it?
Yeah,
yeah, he's still only 23, so...
It'll be interesting because maybe they bring a right back in loan, but you know what else? Maybe the right back isn't so much of an issue if
he's playing 3 at the back.
If he's playing 3 at the back, because then you look at it, you could play Tanner as a wing back. You could play. I said last year I thought Kean Ashford could do a job.
Kean Ashford was outstanding for me last year, mate. He's one of the ones that I'm hoping will play a big part in our season. I think he's hungrier than Tanner in the sense that if he loses the ball, he works his socks off to try and get the ball back. I don't think he hasn't shown that he's shown it in the odd game, but I think Kean Ashford is by far the better player, in my opinion. Again, that's my opinion.
Yeah, look, I think Pacquiao, they'll want to give some game time too, but again, he'd be good for the wing backs. But I think fullbacks is an issue for the club at the moment but we did say the other day, mate, that there'll be a player from the academy who will break through under Barry Murphy that maybe people aren't expecting, and maybe everyone's expecting Pacquiao to be the right back. Maybe it ends up being someone, like a Will Spears or maybe someone like that. I don't know. It's a fascinating one. Maybe if they do play 4 at the back, maybe they go with a Dylan Lawler at right back to give him a bit of time to get used to playing first team football. I don't think that would be the right idea, but who knows, mate?
So if we do go 3 at the back, what would your 3 at the back be?
Will Fish, Dylan Lawler, +1. So yeah. I personally, my one would have been Perry NG as the experienced centre back. With him out, I think it's even more important that we go and get like an O'Connell from Wrexham or someone like that. I think so. Bagan's another good shout for one of the 3 centre backs, but we need. I
was impressed with him quite a lot last year. He came in and done a job for us.
But you need wing. Who's your wing backs? Like you need wing backs, a very specialist position, and Pacquiao decent. I think he can do that. Louis Giles would have been, but I think he's going out on loan. He plateaued maybe a little bit last year and needs to go and play for me.
What was that again? Sorry.
Louis Giles. No, Louis Giles. Yeah. I think he will. I don't know for sure. I just think he maybe plateaued a little bit.
I don't think we can put him out on loan until we get somebody else in that position. I don't think we.
No, I think that's fair.
We'd be able to do that. Obviously, he had a couple of appearances off the bench, didn't he, last year, and cup games and things. And again, another talented player and great prospect for the future. It's just we got to manage that correctly now. And like you said, I don't think we can ship him out. And
I said last year when we had a few injuries and we were going to play that, we were playing that sort of 3-4-3 system. I said play Kean right wing back because he's really clever defensively. And his football IQ going forward. Like he's not electric pace, but he's so clever with those little pockets. You have to get the right sort of, if you play sort of 2 number 10s in that sort of 3 at the back system, I think you'd have to have like Isaac as the right sided number 10 in that system. So you've got someone with a bit of pace. Like if you put Ruben there and then add Ashford on the right hand side, I think there's a bit of a lack of press.
A great point as well by Dan. Obviously, Ronan Kapakio coming back from a pretty big injury, so obviously
big time
to be smart with that.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And Chambers might play in a 3 as well. Is obviously a shout. There's a few injuries at the moment. Giles has got an injury, so that it's going to be fascinating, mate. I don't want to be that guy, but I do think we might see 1 or 2 in this week, like Monday or Tuesday. But things could have changed over the weekend big time because, like, you've only got to look at the fact that Callum Robinson, by all the noises last week, was that he was going or that he was talking to clubs. He's gone to Spain. We've lost NG to injury. Giles is injured. So we've only got a very bare basic fullbacks. One of them's coming back from a super serious injury. We still haven't really got like an experienced centre back in. So there's a few. Like it's my belief, in my opinion, this is that we'll sign Darko Giabi. I think he will be one of the players we sign. And then I think we might see one of the midfielders either go out on loan or, be sold. It depends really, doesn't it? Like they're either going to sell either a Turnbull, a Wintle, or Robertson, or maybe they loan Joel Colwill. But I know that's an ongoing discussion about Joel. Him scoring a couple of goals will not have done him any harm whatsoever.
And again, there's so many games. I think we was looking at it last night, and just in the month of August, depending if we beat Swindon in the Carabao Cup, potentially playing 8 games in August, which is absurd to me. If I'm completely honest, I think that's absolutely bonkers. But we're going to need a big squad. Are the younger boys going to be more able to cope with that kind of demands? Then I don't know.
Josh says he thinks Brian Barry Murphy might use Tanner as a left wing back. With the greatest of respect, I just don't see it. I don't think he's fit enough to get up and down. Even when he's been at his fittest, I don't think he's got the legs or the energy. Like wing back is you have to be so fit and athletic, and I'm just not sure if he's got it. Maybe he can do it for like an hour, or maybe he can do it in certain situations. Not to say he cannot 100%. I just don't see him being able to do it the way that we need to do it. But then maybe.
Yeah. Good comment here from CCFC Insider. I'm so mixed on Bagan as a wing-back. His intelligence is so underappreciated. His eye for a deep, great pass. But I think a wing-back needs to be energetic, quick up and down. I'm not sure if he's that.
Yeah, do you know what's interesting about Bagan is when he come onto the scene in the first team, Joel Bagan was like an overlapping full-back, but he was defensively a bit suspect, say. And then he's gone out on loan, and now he's come back. And I think he looks like a ball-playing centre-back. I would play him on the left-hand side of the 3, and I'd have no problems with it. I thought Omar Rhys was a bit quick to drop him last year, because I only think Joel Bagan, if not for Callum O'Dowda's attitude and form at times, I don't think I think Joe Bagan would have played 30, 40 games last year. I think he played quite a few, but like I think he would have got more starts. And I thought he had 2 bad games, which was back to back. He had a nightmare in one game where he made a mistake, and then I think he was dropped, and then he came back in. I think it was QPR, and he had another nightmare, and he was taken off at halftime. But in my opinion, they were the only 2 really bad performances from him all season. He was one of the more consistent players. So for me, I think having a left-footed centre-back completely opens up and changes the angles that you're able to pass. And Joe Bagan's able to, like, he can do some real nice, tidy passing. He can break lines. He can bring the ball out. But he's also quite aggressive in the tackle. He's got a bit of bite about him, which I quite like. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting with the wing-back situation. I know people really fancy Tanner to do his thing in League One. It's all opinions and it's all subjective. Like I just haven't seen it. Like outside of a couple of moments.
I just hope our wing back next year are happy to get their head down and just attack because how many times last year, even Will Alves, I think the amount of times he'd go forward and then he'd turn and try and spin the defender. Just go at him. Back yourself. Have confidence in beating the player.
Yeah, and maybe with Tanner, my mind is kind of skew-effed by, like, he came back and he was so unfit. Like, not his fault, because they clearly had rushed him back to try and help with the relegation battle. But he looked so off it. And Omar Risa kept picking him. And I don't think that was fair to Ollie Tanner, because he just didn't look anywhere near like match fit, and then because he wasn't fit, he just looked poor, and he looked like he wasn't really trying. And I don't think he is that guy. Like I don't think he's a guy that's not like trying. I just think I don't know. I don't know. And maybe my
I
agree. But then I also remember criticizing him defensively, before that, like previously when he would just switch off or watch, like as PNG was outnumbered or, all these different things. We'll see, mate, won't it? We'll see. Like, same as Callum Robinson came back last year with a super good attitude, super fit, super lean, and went and, showed that he wanted to be here. Ollie Tanner and others have got to do that, because I can only go by what I see and my opinion, and I can only go on some of the little bits I hear. And based on that alone, I'd probably sell him. But I know a lot of people disagree with that, because he scored 2 big goals in derbies. But I know people disagree, and that's okay. It's all subject. It's all opinions. But for me, not it. Like there's other players there who I would trust more.
Yeah, I just think he's got a big part to play in the squad, because I think that the starting 11 will change so much this year because there's so many games, and you'll pick up injuries left, right, and centre, and it'll be interesting to see how many times we field the same 11. Probably didn't do it last year. And I think, those days are long gone now, and managers do like to rotate and things anyway. But I think the fixture list is brutal this year. The amount of games that they've got to play is going to be a massive squad effort.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just 11 players. It's got to be a bit of everything. Like, there'll be players who we're not maybe expecting, to play. We're talking about Joe Colwill. We're talking about Eli King, which I want to talk about actually in a second. But, Keane Ashford and Isaac Davis. Naya Kahawa's one who's been touted to have a bit of a breakout season. Like I said, with Will Spears might end up playing through necessity because we haven't got any other right backs. So, we just don't know. Luke Pearce has scored a hat-trick on the weekend. You could find, and sometimes it's little things like a couple of injuries. Suddenly a youngster finds himself on the bench. He gets on, he scores a goal or he does something, and then he gets another bench appearance. And then before you know it, someone who was completely not in the thinking ends up being in the thinking and being part of the squad. So One thing I do think
taking your opportunity. I think our good friend Andy Campbell used to say, didn't he? He'd be sat on the bench because Ernie's banging goals in left, right, and centre. And obviously, we haven't got to talk about what happened in the playoff final. He come on, took his chance, and that's changed his life. He's dining out on that for the rest of his life, isn't he? And so he should be. But I think that's the mentality that they've all got to have this year, is are they squad players, and when it's time for them to do a job, they've got to roll their sleeves up and get out there and fight for the badge and show the fans that they're passionate and they want to be out there, and they care about getting us back to the championship.
Absolutely, mate. And I think it's going to be like, there's a few things which I'm really fascinated by. I'm fascinated by what system he's going to go with and what personnel he will then utilize in that system. Because I think when everyone's fit, I think our squad is quite suited to that sort of 3-4-2-1 or whatever, or 3-5-2 or whatever you want to call it. But with the injuries that we've got already and some of the players that have left, I could see more of an old school 4-3-3. And the reason I think that is because I've heard a lot over the last week about Eli King and how well he's doing. He is impressing. He's making the other sort of number 6 options look decidedly not lackluster, but like just not having the same bite and the same energy and the same quality.
Yeah.
And the one thing for him is when you compare him to some of the other players who could potentially play as a number 6, he's played a lot of football on loan last year compared to some of them. Ryan Wintle barely played last year. Joel Colwill played first half of the season, second half of the season, not so much. But Joel Colwill is also an option for the right back. He's been used there on loan last year. He's been used there previously as like a right back who inverts into the midfield. So that's probably another one that maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be bowled over
option.
with that. I'd rather if we can afford to get someone in there. I know obviously it's all hypothetical, and obviously if needs must and all that during a game, perhaps if he's named in the squad and somebody goes injured, then fair enough. But I think long term,
you got to get a fullback in, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do his development. I think with Joel now, he's at that early stage he's at that stage now whereby if he gets an opportunity at Cardiff this year, he needs to grab that with both hands, because I think it's a massive season for him if he, manages to get into the team. If he's going to be used as a bit part player, going to right back, this, that, and the other, then I wouldn't be confident in him excelling really. And that might sound harsh, but I want him to play in his position, his preferred position, and exceed there and do well for Cardiff. It'd be brilliant to see him and his brother out on our field, banging goals in for us left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I think the plan has always been for him to be in the first team squad this year. That was the whole sort of development plan: go on loan and then be in the first team squad this year. Whether maybe not starting, but being in and around the squad, 10 minutes here and there, building him up into that first team football. Because we've been relegated, there's probably more chance that you see him as part of a regular player. I think, Dan says there one of Robertson and Turnbull will leave, in his opinion. I tend to agree with that. I think there's a few others. I wouldn't be shocked to see, Ryan Wintle go. I wouldn't, just because of, even though he's come back with an improved attitude and all the rest of it, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go, simply because I think Brian Barry Murphy was going to want to move the ball fast. He's going to want to press, and he's going to want to have players who can break lines with their passing and rotate with their movement. And I'm not sure, whilst Ryan Wintle, I think, has a good skill set for just a 6 who kind of wins the ball, moves it along, etc. I'm not sure if he's got the pressing ability that he's going to want. I don't know, though. Like I said, it's hypothetical because we don't quite know what he's going to set up with. Eli King, though, is one where
I was impressed with him at the start of last year before we put him out on loan. I'm not sure if was it the Southampton game he played in the Carabao Cup. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think I've seen bits of him. He was either at the start of the season or pre-season, and I was really impressed with him. And I was kind of disappointed that he went out on loan, to be honest. But it is what it is. If he comes back this year, gets an opportunity and takes it with both hands again, then that season out on loan is great, isn't it? But yeah, we'll see. A question I wanted to ask you, mate, then, and I know obviously you've talked about it on previous podcasts and things, but how do you think Ryan Wintle will be taken back by the fans? I think I might have asked you this a couple of weeks back.
No, it's ultimately, mate, football fans were fickle, and I think if he comes in with this attitude that we've heard about, he's got a good attitude, he's fit, he's fit, and he's got his head down and he's doing all the right things. People tell me that he has the skill set to be a very good number 6 in League One. I can only go on what I've seen in the Cardiff City shirt, and I haven't seen that. But people whose opinion I do trust tell me that he's got that ability. Ultimately, Cardiff fans will be fine with him if he works hard, gets his head down, and he does his best and performs. If he starts sulking because Eli King starts the first 5 games, it's not going to go well, is it? Like, ultimately, I think it is.
Is he frozen again, or is he still thinking? Is Simon froze for anyone else, guys? Let me know in the chat. Is it my internet that's frozen? I don't know. Here he comes again. 2 Simons. Oh, I'm all on my... Oh, here he is.
Oh, he's just Google.
He's having a nightmare.
But I also think one of the easiest fixes for Brian Barry Murphy is to move the ball quicker. If Cardiff moved the ball quickly and play off like 1, 2, 3 touches, and there's lots of movement off the ball, that's going to win a lot of fans over really, really fast. Because one of the most infuriating things about how we've played over the last couple of years is just backwards, sideways, slow. But I don't mind backwards to kind of go forwards. Like, I'm fine with that, keeping the ball and looking after it. I think that's a good way to play football. However, it's the pace you could do it at, and it's the decision making when you get pressed is what makes the difference of whether it's good or bad. And our decision making with it has been poor.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I think that's the frustrating thing from a fan point of view. Like, I know you go into all the tactics and stuff like that, but that's not my forte. I just like going down and shouting and screaming. But, the ability of our players last year had the ability to attack and go past defenders, and it was just so frustrating at times. You seem to get so far up the pitch, and then as if they're stopping and looking who's around them, and I don't know. It just
remember, I think it was on shows with you a couple of times where we'd say we'd win the ball back. Ruben would break down like the inside left, and he'd have the defender 1-on-1, but wide. But he'd have the defender 1-on-1, and you're thinking, like, you've grown up on that, like 1-on-1s, like just beat him and go sort of thing. And then he would check back and keep the ball. And you're just looking at it and you're thinking, that's been coached. He's so petrified of losing the ball and taking a risk that he's checked back and he's gone back to the fullback or the midfield. And I think that's a problem for me, because you need players like him, Salic, Davis, Ashford, Tanner. I want them to take a risk. As long as it's in the right areas, I want them to take a risk.
Another question for you then. Would you be disappointed if we didn't bring in any midfield or attacking options? Would you be happy going into League One with what we've currently got if we was able to strengthen defensively and goalkeeper-wise, perhaps? He's frozen again. Good question as well, that was. So, let me know what you guys in the chat think. If we didn't pull in anybody else, now, what's your thoughts?
So midfield, I'd be more okay with, like if we didn't sign anyone, because I think we've got enough of a mix to do some damage, providing that Eli King can be that sort of give us a bit more energy and legs and stuff, because that's the one thing I really need is I need to see more legs and more aggression and stuff. It's Google Chrome just keeps closing down. It's nothing to do with my internet. And then from the attacking point of view, I think we need wingers. Like we need pace and direct wingers. Salic and Isaac Davis and Robinson, I think is fine. Striker options. If any of them were to go, then of course you've got to replace them. Defensively, apart from the fullback areas, like central defense, I'm pretty happy with. Goalkeepers, I'm not happy with. I would like to replace at least one, if not both. It's one of them. Like I do think someone. I'm trying to find a question from earlier. I think it was Geraint asked the question: "Are you concerned?" It was something along the lines of, "Are you concerned by the fact we've not brought any signings in?" Yes and no. Yes, because you want to get the players in and get them playing and etc. etc. No, because I think it's coming. And I think Brian Barry Murphy wanted to have a look at all the players he's got first, which is fair. But I would, in an ideal world, I would get a fullback, like say Cody Dramer, just for an example, who can play left and right. I'd get a keeper. I'd get a 6. I'd be happy with our 6s being either Darko Gyabi or Eli King. And then you could maybe move on Turnbull or maybe Wintle, although Wintle gives you a bit of experience, I suppose. I'd like to see Chambers and Willock moved on, and maybe Robinson, and then replaced with some others. But it'd be interesting.
It will.
Whilst you're talking, mate, before we wrap up, I'm just gonna try and do something in a minute. Go on, you talk about what's coming up this week.
Yeah, what's coming up this week? So member show tomorrow night. Join me 9:00. Member show is always unscripted. You can ask anything. We'll discuss anything. It can be random. It can obviously be about Cardiff, but it's just a place for members to join and just sort
chat
of
shit
and chat all sorts of shit. So that's on Monday. Have we got a video out Tuesday? Something on Tuesday?
So there'll be the Keane Ashford video is going to be out tomorrow. If I got time before I do my radio show in the morning at 11 o'clock, please tune in, Newport City Radio. I will try and record something before I go live there to go out at lunchtime. But Keane Ashford video will definitely be out tomorrow night. And then there'll definitely be something Tuesday. And then hopefully we'll get something sort of at the lunchtime slots as well.
Wednesday night then I should be back with, I'm not sure who yet, but I'll be back to discuss on, obviously, we'll have a little look and scrutinize their pre-season friendly out in Spain. Hopefully we'll be able to stream that. I think it's on the club website, so you can stream it. So fingers crossed, we should be all right to dissect that on Wednesday evening, mate. Flower Hour Thursday, I believe, and then Friday then.
I just look at it. If I delete my cookies, does that delete all my passwords and stuff? Anyone know that?
I don't know. Probably.
Maybe we won't do that then. We'll just delete the cache, is it? So I think it's a memory issue on my thing. I just want to answer a couple of quick questions at these at the bottom. I'm going to work my way up from the bottom to the top.
When you're looking through there, man, I'm just going to mention and shout out. We did shout out last night to some of the new members who've joined via Cardiff City World and also via the Ace Podcast Nation Patreon. For the price of a cup of coffee a month, you can help support the channel. You get access to, obviously, like the member show tomorrow evening, early access to live events and tickets, early access to some of the videos that Si puts out. Any support you can give is massively appreciated. I know there's a lot of people in the chat tonight who are members, and your support is always appreciated. Si, does really appreciate all the support, as we all do on the channel. But if you can support us, it'd be great. Like, subscribe, share all the videos and stuff. It really does help us out.
Right. So Macanish, also a new Patreon, says, when's the Rhys video? I don't know yet, mate. I haven't even begun to edit it and look at it and stuff. So it won't be until at least sort of towards the end of the week. I was hoping to get it out for Wednesday to put it on, or the Cymru Sport as well. So it could be that it's the following Wednesday. But yeah, I'll have a look at it over the next couple of days and we'll go from there. Don't think I got to edit much anyway. Yeah, I think you could stream the friendlies, but if not,
I've just put the QR code up in the top right-hand corner as well for anybody who wants to if you're not a member and you'd like to join, you can scan that QR code. I believe that QR code takes you through to the Patreon one side. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think so. And if you're on YouTube, you could just hit join as well. Let's have a look. Rick says, would like a backup centre forward for Salic. Agree, we've got smaller alternatives, but if our wingers can get crosses in, we need height in the box. And if he's injured or needs resting, yeah, I think I'd like to see Isaac get a chance through the middle, but I tend to agree that and like a similar profile, physique-wise, would be probably handy.
Will they spend money their side, do you think, or will they get a youngster in on loan, or will they try Atete again? I'm not bowled over or convinced by him, but
no, I'd be shocked if Atete is still here, mate, to come the start of the season, one way or another. I don't think we're going to spend a lot of money, mate. But look, who knows at this point, because this club is like a basket case, isn't it? It's trying to work out like if is it because of the sales rumors? Is it because we've obviously lost a substantial amount of money? Is it because we've got to sell to buy? I don't know at this point. But they said wholeheartedly that they were going to back him. But they did clarify that they were going to back him by allowing him to be, do what he wants to do. So, yeah, is what it is, isn't it? They'll, I think, and look, I do think we'll see a couple of loans, regardless. Even if we sign no one on permanent deal, I do think we'll have a few younger players on loan. I reckon we'll get one in this week.
Just bring that one up in a second. Gavlar, yeah, the pre-season live stream. There's a match pass on the Cardiff City website. It's £5, buddy. Not sure if you can watch it anywhere else legally, but should be able to. Simon's deep in thought again, thinking, I think. Yep, we're near a wrapping up point. Like I said, member show tomorrow at 9 o'clock, guys. So tune in for that. Yeah, it should be a good week. Football's back, so happy days.
Yeah, listen to Newport City Radio tomorrow, 11 a.m. And going to play guest of the year. We're going to also, I'll be doing Size Anthem. I'll give you a clue. It's probably going to be an Oasis tune this week.
1996.
Shocking. Just giving it away now. I'm going to have to do the whole thing again now. Apologies for the technical issues. I will try and get Google Chrome.
That's all right, but I expect, to be honest. I'm doing my part, my end, and you're letting the team down, man.
It's about time you've done fucking something, isn't it? You had about 6 weeks off.
Well, make up for it, but you know what.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, mate. So, yeah, definitely Key and Ashford video tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be something else as well at some point. I can't help myself, even when I said I'm going to have a day off. Can't help myself. Thank you so much to everyone who joined. Over 300 people watching again, and enjoy it. You gotta love it, haven't you? Cardiff City fans, it didn't take any abuse today as well. I can get in
Yet.
Yeah, mate. Some of the messages over the weekend was funny. It's wild. There was a question I was going to answer, but I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it. The answer was 1996. Right, nice one. Don't look back in anger. Indeed. Take it easy, and we'll see you very, very soon. In a bit.